What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Cyrus Obsidian here at Obsidian Games, here to bring you some more Yu-Gi-Oh content. So let us dive right in. So we are off of our spiel of playing Malice for a bit. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing the deck, but I know you guys want something a little bit more rogue, a little bit more budget. So we're running it back with one of the decks that we had tried out post-Suda in Tenyi Swordsoul. So I have taken some time to actually learn how to play the deck a little bit better, and we have changed it up a bit to be a little bit more of a board breaker, competitive like deck. I think this deck has the potential with what it has given, and I believe that we can use it to break the meta. So without further ado, let me show you the deck profile and what we are cooking up with for this deck, and we'll head to locals to put it to the test to see if we can crack the meta. So let me show you the deck. All right, so this is the deck profile that we are cooking up with. To start off with the Tenyi lineup, we are playing 2 copies of Tenyi Spirit Saruya. I think playing 2 copies of Saruya is the right choice. I tried playing 3 and just 3 was a little uncomfortable because I was always seeing it when I wanted to see something else. So I think 2 is the right sweet spot. And we are following up with 3 copies of Ashina. And then we're following up with 2 copies of Tenyi Spirit Adhara, with 2 copies of Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha, and then 1 copy of Mapura for our Tenyi monster lineup. I think this is really good. I know I see a lot of people play Shithana as well. I like Mapura just a little bit better for targeting reasons, like with Ryziel Detonator being in the meta. Mapura is going to be a great way to stop that from resolving. But as for like our Tenyi spells, we do only play the 1 copy of Tenyi Infinity. I think only 1 copy is necessary. There hasn't been a need for me to have more than just the 1 copy, since I do play 2 copies of Vessel for the Dragon Cycle and 2 copies of Heavenly Dragon Circle. That way I can always see it in my starting hand, or see a version of it, be able to get into it. Yeah, so far I've liked this Tenyi lineup. It hasn't taken me astray so far. But again, we are still trying to figure this deck out as we go along with its ratios into how we can use it to break the meta. Moving on to the Swordsoul side of it, the Swordsoul side hasn't changed. We're still playing 3 copies of Moyi, 2 copies of Taya, and 3 copies of Longyuan. We are playing 3 copies of Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous, because this gets us into our Moyi, into our Taya, and I think it is really crucial that we do play it. We do play 3 copies of Swordsoul Emergence and then 1 copy of Blackout. Emergence is just really great at getting us whatever we need, whether it's a worm, whether it's a Swordsoul. Especially for the worm side, if we do have a Synchro monster on the board, being able to get into our 1 copy of Protos is really critical for the deck, as it helps with just help breaking boards and establishing a board at the same time. Moving to the non-engine of the deck. So since we decided to go with a board breaker approach, our last few slots are dedicated for that. We are playing 3 copies of Pot of Desires. I like playing Pot of Desires because it helps us get into what we need to. That free draw 2 is just awesome, especially with Chenging on the board. It just is a game changer and game closer. We are also playing 3 copies of Talent in the main. After the most recent YCS, seeing how critical Talent was, I was like, we gotta main it. And maining it in this, seeing it at 3 is just, so far I've loved it. Being able to that draw 2 or that hand rip has just been really critical. We are still playing 3 copies of Droplet, with 3 copies of Chalice, and then 1 Called by the Grave to round up our deck total to 44. I'm definitely liking this at 44. I haven't had any issues playing it at 44. When we played it at 40 last time, it did felt a little bit sacky. We were drawing into cards that we didn't want, or we just weren't drawing into what we needed. So far, seeing this at 44 has been like the sweet spot. Our extra deck hasn't changed much either. We are still playing with 2 copies of Baxia with 2 Shishao, the 1 Draco Berserker, the 1 Mula Adhara, the 1 Dragite, the 1 Xiaofeng, 1 Evil Longyuan, and 1 Chenging. We are still playing 3 Monk, 1 Shaman, and 1 Sahasrara. So I think this is just pretty standard for the extra deck. If I were to change one thing, it might be adding a Yazi, but there just wasn't like a lot where I needed a Yazi. Boxia has just been really great at helping me break boards. Draco Berserker has been really great at that. Same with Feng. You know, just seeing those help me break boards. And not to say that the Sword Souls haven't, but those cards have been like really great to breaking boards. And like the Dragai every once in a while has just been really nice to be able to start a critical spell. So I love the extra deck as it is. The side deck is where things have changed a lot. And I'm still debating on one of my choices. We are playing 3 Nib in the main because Nib right now is just outstanding. We are playing 3 Perulia as well. This is the card that I'm hesitant about because I think I would rather play a Droll for a more budget option or another board breaker. But as I was looking, I think Perulia just swung a little bit more in favor. If not, maybe Solemn Strike will be the next thing, but I was worried about, you know, getting into Sahasrara or losing like 4K. So we're very trying to figure out where we might go with deciding. Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood was another card that crossed my mind. But we'll experiment with Perulia tonight, see how it does, and just kind of play with it a little bit. Next, Thrust. I think Thrust is just really good, especially having the 1 copy of D-Barrier, 1 copy of Different Dimension Ground, and then 1 Mischief of the Gnomes. These are just really great against most matchups. The only matchup that these 3 just suck against is Malice, but that's where our other copies of Evenly Matched come in play. I know some Malice players are figuring out how to dodge Evenly Matched, but they can't jump around the Nibiru, so that's going to be a card that's going to really come in clutch for those matchups tonight. But also just the main deck stuff is going to really solidify us there. So that is my profile that we are running for tonight. So let's see how well we can do at locals. All right, so I now just have time to like finally stop and record because we just played through rounds 1, 2, and 3 like all the time. So round 1 we play against a Ryziel Fiendsmith. I open up first. I'm able to establish a board. We're able to go back and forth, but I just had enough gas to just keep and contain. Game 2, he went first. I couldn't break through his board all the way, so he took it. Game 3, I just locked him out with Protoss, Boxia. I had it all, so he just could not play, and we were just able to take damage from there. Game 2, round 2, we play against Malice. And this was a matchup I was really interested in seeing because depending on the Malice deck, they can play Shifter, Lancia for Mirror, and since Lancia actually works against Tenyi Swordsoul, we were in a bit of a tough spot. But game 1, we win the die roll. We're able to go first. We're able to lock him out with Protoss, and we just take it from there. Game 2, we didn't have enough board breakers to really break through his board. He was able to put up a good enough board that we just could not break it. And then he access coded me for game. Game 3, it was a little bit of back and forth on this one. This one I had a cool interaction where he Lancia'd me, so I couldn't really do any of my plays. So I set Droplet, had Nib in hand fast. He was playing, he like did a whole bunch of stuff, and then I waited, I nibbed him, and then I Dropleted, and then because he hadn't used White Rabbit to set, so I Dropleted the White Rabbit, nibbed his board, but I sent the Nibiru Ray, so there was no nib, no token, clean slate, came back to me. I was able to full pop off, set out Protoss, and just lock him out of dark. Round 3, we play against Azumina White Forest, and that was such an intense match. I go first, I lock him out of light, but then he does the Azumina engine and it totally screws me over. Game 2, I just set up a control board rather than the lockout board, which worked. We were able to take it. We just had enough gas and enough interruptions to really just play through everything. Game 3 was an intense back and forth, going down to like 3 minutes left in the time, but he established his board. I Charmied him, hoping to draw Nib, didn't see Nib, and he just set up so much. We didn't have enough board breakers to really push through. If we had more of the Tenyi stuff in our hand, we probably could have, broken the board a little bit, but since we didn't see any of our Tenyis, we just had to play with the Swordsoul engine. We could have taken the risk with evenly matched, but we didn't evenly match the board because he had Illa Silva on the board. We did as much as we could, but in the end, he was able to take it with double piercing damage. So we're 2-1 right now with 1 round left. We'll see where we go and see what happens. But honestly, I think this version of the deck is a lot better than the last version I played. And again, the last time we did play it, we were playing against stun. And I think, in my opinion, the deck is okay against stun. But like this version is doing great against meta, against everything that would top is just doing great against it. So 2-1, 1 more round. We'll see what happens. We got to fight it out to the death. All right, last and final round, we play against Fire King. And this was the list that was looking like the YCS Birmingham first place deck. So game 1, we go first. We're not able to establish a board because we played through Fool. We played like Fool. He Foolosed me twice, and I just did not care. So we just gave him a whole bunch of draws. Eventually nibbed me, and he just killed me through the nib token. Since I did pay 4,000 for the Sahasrara. Game 2, I full comboed. I played through Impulse, Ash, Imperm. I played through it to set up Tenyi, Muladhara, Protos, Calling Fire. Because I made sure I was able to get a fire monster on board, and we locked him out of fire. We swung him for game. Game 2, he goes first, and we have like 9 minutes left in time. He sets up his board, passes it back to me, hoping I draw evenly. I didn't, but I had droplet. He Chaos Hunters me as well. We had tactics to take. He popped my Tenyi Link, and I was just going. I was going. The wheels are going. Time is running low. I end with Muladhara, Cheng Ying, Shishao, and Draco Berserker the Tenyi, burning him for 1,200 as time was called. And so I was able to take it with the burn damage with Long Yuan. So we end the night 3-1, taking 2nd place out of 15. Honestly, I think this version of the deck is a lot better than it was the first time we played it. I'm definitely going to keep with this list for a bit. We might experiment adding like 1 more card in the main to make it 45, but honestly, the 44 is really solid. It has been really good. The only bad matchup was against the Whitewoods Azamina. That one was just a grind fest. I don't know what I could have done better there, but we're definitely going to rethink that through our heads and just see what we could have done. But that is it for this Local Diaries, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck profile and how you think we can improve it. Also, let me know what other decks you would like to see here on the channel, as we are going to be going back into Rogue and just trying some Rogue strategies out just to see how far we can go. For our revamped version of Tenyi Swordsoul, I think we did pretty good. So kudos to that. Copy the list if you want, edit it, change it however you like. But with that, we'll pass it over to you guys.